Now, if we do get ice on the roads next week, the New Orleans Police Department says it will close streets early. This morning, they outlined their plan and how it will affect commuters. Rachel Hanley shows us how they're using lessons learned during the last freeze to prepare for this one.
New Orleans is days away from a freeze, and maybe its first ice and snow in years.
We want to get ahead of the game.
At a press conference Friday morning, NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick said her department is prepared for closures.
I don't want people already out there and then we close streets. So I'm going to try to get ahead of it, and it will be dependent on how fast that weather moves up.
She says elevated roadways, bridges, and on and off ramps would be the first to shut down if there's ice. That's what happened during the city's last major freeze, something the NOPD is looking back on as it gets ready for next week.
On January 28, 2014, we had to implement a freeze plan, which was kind of the extent of what we're seeing coming up as it pertains to our information.
That was a serious storm. Long stretches of I-10 and I-12 closed, the causeway closed, even the airport closed.
We responded to numerous accidents, which in turn also caused police to be in harm's way with that.
That included on the elevated part of Highway 90. Cars got stuck, and the NOPD says it took days to get them all down. That's what they're trying to prevent by closing on and off ramps next week.
At certain points, we will not be able to get the police onto these elevated portions because the vehicles will not make it up the bridge, and so it greatly impacts people, and they will be stuck on the interstate.
With all of that, the NOPD's message is simple. If you are able to stay home during the freeze next week, stay home.
This is the day for you to talk with your employers, and you talk about whether or not your employer will allow you to stay home.
And she says that goes for her own staff, too. Non-essential members of the NOPD will be working remotely next week. Rachel Hanley, WWL, Louisiana.
Now, we also reached out to state police about the possibility of closing the interstate. A spokesperson says troopers will work with DOTD to monitor conditions, and we'll be sure to send out alerts as soon as we learn of any closures.